leverage on business, media, and finance.
Okay.
Now, even before this, we took about 6 years of conceptualization to pick or to research and develop everything that happens in the world of government, in the world of business, in the world of basically all of this business, finance, media, and all of this. And also we put it into practice even till this day.
Okay.
So we take all of this and we look and backward integrate it into the national curriculum, as I said. So this is what forms whatever we do as far as education is concerned.
Okay. Albert Einstein, a German-born theoretical physicist, widely acknowledged to be one of the greatest physicists of all time, once said that education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Very interesting quote, you'd say. Now let's see how this quote relates to what we will be discussing today. Warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We are reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now, International Day of Education is an annual international observance held on January 24th, and it is dedicated to education. On December 3rd, 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution proclaiming January 24th as International Day of Education in celebration of the role of education for bringing global peace and sustainable development. Now, as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate International Day of Education, we are being joined by Engr Bello Tongo. He is the CEO, Tungsten Entrepreneurship Group, now to join us on this discourse. But that's after this time out. Do join us again. Glad to have you back. If you've just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we have our guest. He has a very long profile, but I will tell you about it. He is Engr Bello Tongo. He is an award-winning experienced educationist, construction, design, and innovation professional. Okay, and he's also an entrepreneur. He is the executive director, chairman, and chief executive officer of Tungsten Entrepreneurship Group, a leading award-winning Pan-African group connecting entrepreneurship and education through finance, media, and business. Engr Bello is a top 100 visionary in education conferred by the Global Forum for Education and Learning, and he also has 14 years of professional experience. He's an education entrepreneur transforming educational philosophy and delivery on the African continent. He's leading Tungsten to scale entrepreneurial thinking through education, media, business, and finance to achieve sustainable social economic development on the African continent. He is an experienced training and curriculum development consultant with PURD Consulting. He is previously a primary school team lead, educator, and coordinator of various group and activities at the ICICE Academy. That's a leading British, Nigerian, and Islamic curriculum-based educational institution here in Nigeria. Engr Bello holds a civil engineering degree and postgraduate certificate in construction management from the University of Birmingham, and an MA in education, that's in view, from the University of South Wales. You're welcome to the show. That's a very long CV.
Yes, thank you very much. I was hoping you were going to maybe summarize, but that was all.
I just have to let my viewers know that he has a very long profile.
Yes.
You're welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so let's get straight to discussion for today. Yeah. So today is the International Day of Education.
Yes.
Now, talk to us first of all about this day.
Yeah, so this day, as you know, there's something that the world uses as a framework for development, which is, it used to be called the MDGs, Millennium Development Goals. Now it's called the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, goal number 4 out of those 17 goals is enabling quality education, not just access, but also the quality of the education.
Okay.
And as a result of that, the United Nations, on the who are the drivers of it, on 3rd of December 2018, decided to establish 24th of January every year that it should be a day for celebrating the International Day for Education.
Okay.
And it's important so that awareness comes to the importance of education, interventions come, free resources, free services come within the education system, especially across the stakeholders, which are mainly the schools, the educators, and the students themselves, and then also policymakers as well. So this is the basis for having this day, and also why we're celebrating this day in particular.
Okay, so I hear you talk about free services and free.
Yes.
Does it mean that for today we should have no school fees day, or is that what?
Yeah, it would be good to have that, obviously. But by saying free, I mean many of the organizations that are in the field of education, like whether they're NGOs or for profit, or even at the government level, you see that they are providing so many free training programs for not just for students, but also for educators. You see that they're also giving out free books and things like that. So resources and everything that improves education. On this day, basically it's like a Christmas for everybody that is interested in education. Also, you see many forums, platforms where, in a kind of conference from people are discussing education, are sharing ideas and things like that, free of charge. So that is what I mean by the free. It's an opportunity to have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what do you think that education should seek to achieve?
Yes, this is a very good question, because I think normally, when people ask about challenges in the education field, it's very much tied to this question that you asked. Education should be able to achieve whatever that the child or the learner is going to experience in life. So basically, when you go through the system of education, whatever that you need to survive and thrive in your next phase of your life, that is what should achieve. So that child or that individual will live as an individual in a household, and so many socioeconomic challenges will face him in that household or in his individual life. He will also need to exist in an environment where he's working and earning a means of livelihood, whether it's employment or setting up a business. And eventually he will find himself in a community where leadership is expected of him, or in government. So whatever thing that he will face as a challenge in those three environments, he should be equipped to be able to survive and thrive in these three sort of lives that he will face after education. So this is what education should aim or strive to achieve. Every single thing that the child really needs to basically face and also experience and do well in these three lives of his after schooling. That is what the education system should aim to achieve or prepare him for.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now so taking a cue from what you just said, let's bring it back home. Do you think that all of this that you stated is being achieved in our own education system?
I would say no, because if it was, if it's been achieved, then Tungsten or us won't be doing the work that we're doing right now. Because you see, what we're doing is almost like a kind of intervention in the space of education, when in reality this intervention shouldn't have happened. So it's a gap that we have noticed in the system, which is what we're trying to plug in as individual educators, but also as an organization. And so the answer will be no. There is a good attempt, especially in terms of identifying what the problem is. I think government and also every stakeholder in the education space identifies most of it, but how to achieve it is where the work is, and it's where we are actually striving towards, and we haven't done that as much as we should.
So at what point does Tungsten come in all of this?
Yes, so Tungsten comes in at, as you know, I mentioned the three main important stakeholders in education, which is the schools, whether it's at the primary, at the secondary, at the tertiary or post-tertiary level, the educators, meaning the teachers, whether at primary, secondary, tertiary, post-tertiary, and the students themselves, same on the same levels of primary, secondary, tertiary, and post-tertiary. We come in by trying to transform these three stakeholders into entrepreneurial thinkers.
Okay.
So for us, this is the solution to what education should be achieving. And we think unless this is done, unless entrepreneurial thinking is put at the heart of education, then the true purpose of education won't be achieved. Yeah, so for us, this is what we come in. This is where we come in.
Okay, so talk to us more about entrepreneurial thinking. How do you go about all of that?
Yes, yeah, so if you notice, I said entrepreneurial thinking, not entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
But in the space, generally you hear people talking about entrepreneurship. For us, it's entrepreneurial thinking. And what that means is all the transferable business skills that really work, especially in the enterprise space. All of those transferable skills need to be brought down and integrated into the subjects that the school systems provide. And the reason why we also don't call it entrepreneurship for us in Tungsten is that using this entrepreneurial thinking, you can also go not just the route of setting up a business, but you can also go towards the route of employment. So with entrepreneurial thinking, it will make you more employable.
Okay.
How does that happen? Like, if you're working for KAFTAN TV, for instance, and you have a CEO or the owner of KAFTAN TV, you being an employee of KAFTAN TV would, as an entrepreneurial thinker, would mean that you are thinking like the owner of KAFTAN TV. So it's almost like entrepreneurship, but within your space of employment. So this is what we mean by it can be applied at the employment route. So it's the reason why I also tell people a lot that the problem in Nigeria is not unemployment, it's unemployability. And unemployability, because right now is beyond just your certificate that is needed. You need to think beyond, you need to have the big picture thinking, especially at the level of the CEO or the owner of the company that you are looking for the job for. So this is what this aspect of entrepreneurial thinking aims to achieve. But as I said, it can also lead you to entrepreneurship, meaning setting up your business. And it can lead you to also doing something well in government, because as an entrepreneurial thinker in government, you are thinking more of creating the value within your state or wherever you govern, rather than always going for federal allocation and things like that, you know.
Okay.
So that is the kind of mindset we're trying to bring into the education space.
Okay, so I hear you talk about on employment, on employability. So now, is education in all of this, is education the panacea for unemployment, unemployability, and underemployment?
Yes, yes. This definitely is it. Because as individuals, we all had to be educated in one way or the other. Now, the typical form of education is structured or formal education, which is going into the school classroom and all that, but it can also happen outside of the classroom. The reason why we're saying education should be the way, whether formally or informally, in the classroom or out of classroom, is that the CEO of Dangote or owner of Dangote, he had to go through, or whatever he's applying right now that is being successful in his business, is as a result of whatever he has learned, whether in or out of school. If you are, even in the sports field, if you are Cristiano Ronaldo, whatever you are doing as that is making you perform as well as you are performing is as a result of an education that you got, whether formally or informally. And mind you, education is also not just knowledge of whatever content that you need to learn. It's also skills. Which is why when I just mentioned Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm like, okay, some people will say, oh, but what do you go and learn in a classroom? His own competence is more on the skill side. So competence is 3: knowledge, skills, and attitude or character. So even the character side, he needs to, for instance, I'm using him as a case study, he will need to, his behavior on the field and also working with his teammates, it needs to be there for him to be an effective or productive footballer. You know, on the skill side, of course, is the most obvious one, taking free kicks, penalties, scoring goals, speed, and all of that. But on the knowledge side too, he needs to know the rules of the game. He needs to know the other teams before he and the other competitors on the field before he will know how to really approach them. So, yeah, I diverted more towards, but it can be applied to any field, as I said. Whether you are Dangote, whether you are a sports star like Cristiano Ronaldo, even Davido. Anything, basically, even yourself. Yes.
All right, so in all that you've mentioned, so how is Tungsten Entrepreneurship Holdings trying to achieve all of this across board? You talked about sports, you talked about education, you talked about entertainment. So how are you trying achieving all of this?
Yes. So in a nutshell, we achieve it by mainly is focus on the education, but also we leverage on business, media, and finance.
Okay.
Now, even before this, we took about 6 years of conceptualization to pick or to research and develop everything that happens in the world of government, in the world of business, in the world of basically all of this business, finance, media, and all of this piece. And also we put it into practice even till this day.
Okay.
So we take all of this and we look and backward integrate it into the national curriculum, as I said. So this is what forms whatever we do as far as education is concerned.
Okay.
All these transferable entrepreneurial thinking competencies, we integrate it into the national curriculum from primary to secondary, tertiary, and post-tertiary levels. That's one thing we do. But then, of course, after you have that integrated or enriched curriculum, you need people to deploy, right? In comes the teachers. So those teachers also, we put them into training programs. As I said, whether they're at primary level or at post-tertiary level, we put them through so that they can
both
deploy. Both
private and government institutions.
Exactly, both private and government, so that they are able to effectively deploy this curriculum that we have redesigned for the country. Then, of course, you have the school also to provide the environment, So on the enterprise development side of things, we work with the schools to make sure that administratively they are well structured or set, but also that they enable with the right incentives for both students and the educators to really thrive in this environment that they are overseeing. So that's the main thing on the education side. But also we provide resource materials like entrepreneurial textbooks to make sure that even learning continues individually on your own, whether you're a student or a teacher. Now that is one side. The other thing we do also is that we provide an avenue for these competencies of the teachers and the students to be tested on a grand stage. And this is something that we're going to unveil on the 30th of July this year. It's like an annual competition, and we're opening it to the whole continent so that the best business ideas, whether you are going into the intrapreneurial route, which is employment, or the entrepreneurial route, which is setting up an organization or business, the best ideas are pitched on stage for investment by Tungsten, but also investment by our partners. So that's the other thing we do. So there's a reward side and the also working side of things. Beyond that, after we invest in these ideas of whether you are an employee or whether you are a business owner, we also collaboratively build those ideas of yours. So it's not like how banks give loans and things like that. We give you placements if you are if you're going down the employment route. But if you're going the entrepreneurship route, we give you investment and we co-develop your business idea for an equity, small part of equity in it. And we make sure that it scales using our something we call TET model, Tongston Entrepreneurial Thinking model. It's like the secret sauce that we use to really achieve. It's the formula basically we use. This is so when I mentioned the 6-year research and development that we've been doing, not just studying all these industries of sports or business or education, engineering, medicine. We also use this TET model as an avenue to make sure that basically the best of competence for these students and teachers is achieved. So
you even follow them through the process. It's not like you just start and then leave them at it.
No, this is a very long-term relationship between us and them, except if they want us to leave, of course. But then we can sell back our equity or whatever stake we have in their professional life. But yeah, we try to make sure as much as possible, because you remember we are also putting money in this. So it's important that the money is not lost. And also our objective of creating an employable or big economy, Africa or Nigeria, won't be achieved if those businesses or those students fail. And mind you, it's not just the students, but also the teachers and educators and other professionals also. So that ultimately our goal is that there can be entrepreneurial engineers, entrepreneurial teachers, entrepreneurial doctors, entrepreneurial journalists, entrepreneurial lawyers, entrepreneurial sports people. Some of them are already entrepreneurial. Like the person I mentioned earlier, he's already entrepreneurial. If you look at his life, he's already set, even after retirement. So this is what needs to happen from the education system so that we see the results in life, basically, amongst our citizens.
Great, you said quite a lot of things, but now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk more on this conversation. I'll see you shortly. If you've just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've missed quite a lot, but then you can still join in the conversation, as we have here with us Engr Bello Tongo. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Tungsten Entrepreneurship Group. And then we've been talking quite a lot. So now, before we went on that break, you talked about how Tungsten has been able, or still will be able, to help students, to help the educators in the long run, and help them through the process. But how about a parent who's listening or watching us right now? He or she is not an educator or anything about education. How far will this also help them?
Yes. Remember, I said any profession or any professional. And also at the beginning of my talk, I said we are looking at the different lives that individuals are going to experience. So for a parent, the most obvious, especially if you're a stay-at-home parent, whether you are the husband or the wife, but if your main domain is the home, remember that even your household is almost like an organization of its own. So if you look at every aspect of business or enterprise, whether it's the brand side of things, of your family name or your household, or the value that is being produced out of that home, whether it's in the form of your children or in the form of your what you do for your community or what you produce out of your home, or the profitability side of your home, of your household, because money needs to come in to the household, money needs to leave, electricity and bills and everything that needs to happen. And also remember, you are managing people, which is what human resources. So from the father to mother, the children, you have bill and all that, and then you have the infrastructure of the building, which is just like your office, basically. So I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. You can actually apply it to anything. So even if you are just somebody that doesn't have a formal profession, it's an informal profession of just taking care of your home, these principles, that's why I keep saying transferable entrepreneurial thinking skills. You can apply it, you can transfer those skills to your home, to yourself as an individual, to your business, to your job, to government, and even generally around your community. So this is the kind of thinking that is involved in whatever we put our students through or our learners through, or even the professionals or individuals that go through our programs, is that we open their eyes to kind of look at everything or every environment that they live in as an enterprise or as an organization. And then those transferable skills, as I said, that make sure that businesses or enterprises really function well. Those are the things that they also can apply in these environments that they live in to make sure that they get what they want in life and they move from where they are to where they need to be. So
regardless, everyone is involved in all of this. So no one will say, I'm just a housewife. What they're saying doesn't concern me. It concerns everybody. Great. All right, now, so how does business, finance, education, and media integrate? And how has that informed your group structure?
Yes. So if you look at the group of companies, there is Tungsten Holdings, which is the management company or the overseer of the 4 subsidiary companies. And of the 4 subsidiary companies, we have Tungsten College, the first, which is a business secondary school. It's going to be first of its kind here in the continent. It's a fully integrated entrepreneurial thinking, but also academic type of schooling. So everything that they will be doing are projects that are enterprise-driven, business-driven. They will be consultants at some level. They will be working for, like, setting up government enterprises, and all sorts of experiences were put for the students. And it's like a JS1 to SS3 type of school. So this is a model business secondary school. Reason why we focused on this model school to be a secondary one is because this is the period where, as you know, we transition from childhood to adulthood. It's a very important level of education, and it's also the point where most of us chose whether we want to be science students or arts students, or we want to become engineers or whatever, you know. So that's why this model business school is what we made it to be as a secondary school. So that is one aspect of it. This is where you see the best of experience as far as the teacher's performance and also the student's performance.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and also the other reason why this is good is because it's going to inform those coming before it. So those at the primary level, it will inform them of the standard that they need to be expecting to perform at while they are going for admission into junior secondary. And it will also inform the other side, which is the tertiary, meaning by the time you finish this and you're going into university, you are going in thinking of the business side of medicine, the business side of law and whatever thing, because you've already been oriented for 6 whole years. So this is the first entity.
Okay.
The second entity is Tungsten Institute, which is where this is almost like the brainchild, where we do all the research and development, curriculum design, teacher training, production of books, and also the consulting that we do with schools. Or curriculum design that we do with schools. Everything of that nature happens there. Also, this training for professionals happen at the institute level. So this is basically where even the idea of College, Tungsten College, the curriculum and everything, this was where it was produced.
Oh, okay.
Then next, we have Tungsten Ventures, which is, or let me talk about Tungsten Media first. Tungsten Media is where we do like multimedia production and anything to do with selling your idea or creating your influence in the public space. And also events that we do, everything is being coordinated by Tungsten Media. And it also supplies such branding materials and things like that, not just for our students in the College, but also for our teachers and other professionals at Institute. So this is how they collaborate. And then the ventures is where we do investment. Basically, this is where the money is basically, where we invest in the students and the teachers, the educators, and the businesses that are being incubated at Institute and also at College. And this is where we also do a lot of business development, and we also manage all the assets that Tungsten and our beneficiaries are owning. So this is how all 4 of them work hand in hand. And at the holdings level, as I said, this is where all the administration is happening. So anything admin related or HR or IT or legal or any of all these corporate requirements of you as a professional, whether you're a professional employee or a professional business owner, everything administrative-wise is being held or coordinated by the holdings company. The holdings, so it's like and one-stop shop. One-stop shop to all of it. So as I said, it's not just for our benefit, but also for all the people that go through our system and our programs. Okay. All right, great. Now, so like they say, even though you've talked about all of the good sides, and then we all know that everything that has a good side has its flip side. So now let's talk about the challenges that you face, especially in terms of mainstreaming entrepreneurial education. How's it been for you? Yeah, it's been good and bad, actually, but the bad is also good. You know how they say when you look at problems, you can either look at problems as opportunities, or you can look at them as just a discouragement or problems, you know. So on the good side, I've mentioned a lot of the good. We are getting a lot of support from, especially Gombe State government also. We've been working with the State Ministry of Education and the State University also, especially the Faculty of Education within that university. So a lot of that good has been happening. And also here in Abuja also, some private institutions and partners, NGOs, they've been keen into what we're trying to do. The bad side, which is the challenge, is first it's been selling the idea of Tungsten. As I told you, the idea had to be conceptualized for a period of 6 years. And now when you come and talk to especially people at the government level, it's almost like, where you come from? Are you coming from like another planet or whatever? Or maybe you're not from Nigeria. Yes, yes. And unfortunately, they want to actually hear something like, okay, yeah, this has existed abroad or whatever, and this was happening. Yes, it has existed actually in some way or the other, but not in this form that we have crafted ours. But it's almost like they don't believe a Nigerian can be that innovative or create or even implement something like that. So that has been the challenge. It's like, it's been a very hard sell. But thankfully, as I said, I've mentioned one of the state governments that have keyed into it, even at the federal level actually. A few stakeholders at the Federal Ministry of Education have keyed into this, but not at the level that we want it. But, you know, the more they see what we are doing and producing, the more they will key into it. The other challenge has been getting the right talent that can think entrepreneurially, especially within the education space. So you can imagine us coming into the industry of education, we needed educators or teachers that can think entrepreneurially. So the process of actually getting them to transform from what they are, the typical teacher in the classroom standing and lecturing or teaching, to almost looking at everything or even the thing they do in the classroom as an enterprise, you know. It's been a very, very tasking process, if I can call it that. I remember once we put advert for teachers that were coming to be trainers and entrepreneurial educators for students. About 500 people applied. Ooh. And out of that, we only got 5. Oh, wow. And even out of those 5, we had to also upskill them, you know, to the level. But they were already, we could tell that they were almost there, attitude-wise especially. So we knew that we only needed to put some more skill into them, and they are ready. And thankfully, they were seeing a lot of them also that are almost becoming like that, you know, beyond those 5. And so those are the main challenges: talent, especially in the education space, and also government's buy-in. Because, as I said, earlier when you asked whether education is where it is right now, it's only going to be where it is when the impact is felt at the federal level or at the state level, especially in the public school systems, because that's where the highest population of students are, of teachers are, and so unless that is done, really, which is why we're always frustrated when they are being slow in terms of thinking.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but we'll get there. I very truly, honestly believe we'll get there. It takes time. Okay, so
aside the advert you do when you want to source for your talents, how else do you source for your talents?
Yeah, the other way we source for our talents, of course, obviously we do it through referrals. Okay. The other thing that we've now started doing is we've started going directly to the universities. So even before you graduate from school, if we're looking for a teacher or we're looking for an IT specialist, we just go to the faculty within the university, but we obviously speak to the VC first. Okay. We're looking for this type of talent. They come in through an internship program that we have. So this is also giving them work experience, you know, so that it's not when they graduate, their prospective employer is telling them you need to have this number of work experience, and you're like, how do I get it? So we try to do it. We try to source interns from the university level, but also even outside of the university. We have a few interns that have applied that they were not in university. They were just basically at home and not having any job. So that's the main primary way we do it. The other way we do it is just openly through our LinkedIn page and also through recruitment websites. Okay. So many people come through it, and then also the referral one I mentioned. And the other thing, which is very special that we do recruitment-wise, is that when we come and train teachers, most times we train 100 teachers or so, 50, sometimes 30. Out of those crops of teachers or educators that we've trained, we realize that some of them have the talent for not just the education academics that we do, but some of them have talent even in the business side that we do. One of the staff that we have right now that is in the business development team was a teacher trainer, you know, but it was after the training that we went with him that we realized he has intelligence or ideas on the business space. Some of them are people that we've trained as teachers, but now they are operating in the media space of Tungsten.
Oh, okay.
So you see, so it's so many. If you really open your eye to what you are looking for, and you know, 200 million people now that we are. So the talent is out there, really. So these are the ways that we've been trying to recruit and getting people on board. Okay, so
now let's still talk about some challenges. Have you ever had any time when you feel like you've poured in your all in a particular person, and then but nothing is coming out of it? Have you had that?
Yes, we've had that before.
Okay.
Yes.
So how were you able to deal?
Yes, we try as much as possible. You know, we always tell our staff or our team that we're a learning organization. So as much as we are learning, and also our stakeholders are learning, the team also is learning. Okay. So we try to, as much as possible, provide avenues for them to learn. Even fitting wise for the departments that we have, we try to put them in the right place where they can learn and thrive, as based on their talents and their interests in life, you know. So we do all of that. But yes, as you said, obviously sometimes it will reach a point where it's like you're beating a horse and it's not moving, you know. So you're putting in as much and trying to mentor them, and which we also do. We do mentorship within the organization, and sometimes it's just not the right fit, you know. But that's why it's good that we have so many partner organizations that we can be like, okay, your interest is in this, and this is where your talent is, you know. And as much as I said we are a learning organization, we want everybody to do well in their lives, you know. So we don't force it. If it reaches a certain point and the person is not really growing, then we put them in the right place outside of our organization. But we make sure that we're always in contact, because him being in another industry or in fashion or music or whatever, or even in government, he will be an important contact to have, especially if our students want to be in that space that he's operating in. We can be like, hey, we have this child that wants to become this. Can he spend a month with you or for internship and all that? So we try to always keep a relationship. So the relationship, the long-term relationship I talked about earlier, is not just for the clients or people we work with, but also for the team, especially after you leave.
Okay, now let's look into the future. What are the opportunity, the windows of opportunity that that is there for Tungsten Holdings?
For us to key into, or
yes,
for other people to?
Let's start with you. For you to key into.
Yes, there's a lot of opportunity right now in, you know, when you talk about entrepreneurship, many people are talking about tech. So there's an opportunity that we have spotted right now for us to almost be like a global education institution. So that it's not just tied to Gombe or Abuja or Nigeria or Africa that we're in, but we're opening our space, our market space, to what other people are looking for, especially in terms of their learning and their education and their business development and things like that. So there's an opportunity there that we're looking forward to. It's something that hopefully we're working so hard to bring it out, and you guys, I think, will hear about it very soon, maybe before the year runs out.
Can't wait.
Yes, exactly. So this is something that we have identified as an opportunity. And you know, it's so interesting because that opportunity to open the space is actually also another avenue to connect many of what industries are doing, many of what government are doing, to what's happening in the space of education. Because whoever is coming out of this system of education are the ones that these guys will recruit and these guys will work with. So it's important that it's the right people that are coming out. That's for us that we're looking forward to. Then for other people, to look forward to with regards to our existence is, first, the most important one that is coming very soon, I think that many people have already started gaining interest in, is what I mentioned on the 30th of July of this year, 2022, which we are going to unveil a governing body, an accreditation body that accredits entrepreneurial thinking across, especially Africa. We're also going to unveil something we call tests. So it's called Tungsten Entrepreneurial Students, Teachers and School Summit. So this is that competition that everybody can
there's a reward.
Into. Yes, we will invest in your businesses, but if you are going into the employment route or entrepreneurial route, we invest in your development and also in your placement and the jobs that you are going to key into. Yes, so whether you're an entrepreneur or intrapreneur, this is a competition, or even if you're a school or institution, this is a competition that you should look forward to actually getting the rewards and also the development that will come professionally from Tungsten and from our partners. The third thing that we're going to unveil is a series of books, which we call Entrepreneurial Books. So there's Entrepreneurial Mathematics, Entrepreneurial English, Entrepreneurial Science and Tech. So it's different from the usual one that you see in the classrooms. Yes. This one is our books that when you go through, you are going to learn the business side of maths, the business side of English, the business side of science and tech, the business side of arts, the business side of citizenship, social studies, and all of that. And also there's a very important resource material also called the Entrepreneurial Thinking Booklet. So this is for all professionals. It's like a book that you can read, whether you're on a flight or wherever it is you are, so that you can open your eye to begin your entrepreneurial journey. But before that, so many trainings are happening. I think on our website, www.tongston.com, there's information on the different trainings that you can do, whether you're a professional, you're a student, you're an educator. as I said, it's for everybody, actually, even yourself.
Ah,
You
okay.
can, yeah, we'll give you a good discount.
All right, great. Even as we begin to round up now,
Yes.
so how, with all that you've said, that the windows of opportunities that are there, so how can other stakeholders key into all of this? How can they kick the ground running?
Yes, the most important thing that's really done well for Tungsten's objectives is partnerships with organizations, whether you are at the government level, NGO, or other profit-making organization, media space, and even industries, businesses, actually. So how people can key into is, number one, is actually the partnerships, reaching out to Tungsten, and we can work with almost every industry. There's a space for you with the work that Tungsten is doing. It doesn't have to be domain within Tungsten, it can be domain within your own space, or even outside within the community. So this is the first thing that I encourage everybody to key into, and to also contribute and work with as far as Tungsten is concerned. So number two, after partnerships, is the trainings that we provide. As I said, so many of these trainings are very life transforming. The ones that we've been deploying for the past 1 or 2 years, there's so many testimonials that people that have really gone through it and their lives changes, as little as possible, especially on the attitude side of things. There are people that have gone to even quit their jobs and get better jobs. There are people that have now almost started looking at themselves as leaders in their communities, but also leaders in business, and they are thriving and trying to now create new enterprises for themselves. Sometimes it's an idea probably they used to have, but after going through our training, they've realized that no, this is not the right idea. We have there's a better idea that is especially tied to my purpose in life, and something that I'll find fulfillment, success, and happiness in. So it's very transformational. So this is something that actually I think people should key into. Some of the programs are really very affordable, and some of them we even do them free. Yeah, and especially we also have so many consulting advisory sessions that you can come into our office, and we just open your eye and put you on a path to wherever you need to be as far as your professional life. Because as I said, for us, it's very important that our reputation and what we are doing is given validity and is also given sort of endorsement by people. And the only way to do that is if the people we engage with, or the schools or the students, are successful. That's the only way that our business can thrive. Because we can be like, hey, look at that guy. He went through this and that and that, and look at where he is now. This is the only way. So, yeah, those two, I think.
All right, sir. Now, in a few seconds, I'll ask you 2 questions, and I'd like you to take them in one breath. Now, in all that we've said in the last few minutes, now, I'd like you to just summarize it to someone who is watching us right now. Why do I need to key into all of this? That's one. And then secondly, how can I find you? Website, email, LinkedIn, whichever.
Yes. So, for you that is listening, how or why you should key into this, I talked about how you can go and look at the testimonials from people and all of that have gone through this. But I always like to say this with everything we do, whether it's a presentation or a training or whatever it is. Think of what's important for you in your life, Think of what story people are going to tell about you after you're gone. And if not for anything, if you are not going to do this or work with us for the sake of your children, for the sake of your parents, for the sake of your team, for the sake of your friends or anybody, at least do it for the sake of yourself, Do it for yourself. And this is why I always say everything we do is very much centered towards your own personal and professional development. It's about you at the end of the day. And
so how do they find you? Yes,
and they find us through www.tongston.com. That's TONGSTON. TONGSTON. Tongston.com. Everything is there.
Oh, great.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your time with us. It's been a very wonderful time having this discussion with you, Engr Bello Tongo.
Thank you very much.
All right. You've heard it all from Engr Bello Tongo. He is the Executive Director and CEO of Tungsten Entrepreneurship Holdings. And it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. I'm sure that you must have been entertained, rightly educated, and informed. I'll see you again next time from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. God bless Nigeria.